Hello everyone, and welcome back to Modern Warships with Terry. There has been a rather major update, and a lot of things have changed. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but today we're going to focus on one particular detail that has changed that is quite interesting, and that affects torpedoes. Now, even before the update in Tier 2, there were two types of torpedoes. Both for the American and for the Russian Navy. You would have the homing torpedoes, which were traditional torpedoes, which were rather slow, but packed a very, very decent amount of damage. And you had the supercavitating torpedoes, which were very, very fast, but were unguided. And generally, you could just ignore them because they didn't do a huge amount of damage. They were unguided, so you had to manually aim. Which at long range doesn't make any sense, and they were mostly a waste. So I don't think anybody was playing those, honestly. And it looks like the developers have realized that because they have made a massive change, because these supercavitating torpedoes now are very, very different. But first, before we get into that any further, what is a supercavitating torpedo? Well, cavitation is generally a phenomenon that happens around the screw propellers on ships and submarines, where they churn through the water, and at the edge small air bubbles are forming, which then implode, and that can actually damage propellers and is rather an annoying thing. But the problem with torpedoes generally is that they are limited in how fast they can go. They're similar to submarines, because a torpedo effectively is a small tube, or a small tube-shaped object that goes kaboom, and a submarine is a large tube-shaped object that preferably does not go kaboom. So if you're pushing this thing through the water, you have to push the water aside, because, well, where the torpedo goes, the water cannot be. So it has to push water aside, there's friction, and there's generally a limit to how far you can churn the screws in a torpedo, before it actually reaches as far the amount of speed that it can, and it's generally, I think it's about somewhere with about 50 knots or something, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong with modern torpedoes. I have no idea. The World War II torpedoes were definitely slower, but I think there are definitely speed limits as to what you can achieve with modern torpedoes. I'll have a look what the common torpedoes in modern navies can do. So, if the limiting factor is the fact that the torpedo is in the water, well, what could you do about this? Well, you could make the torpedo not be in the water. Well, wait a minute, isn't that making it a rocket? Yes. Well, doesn't that defeat the purpose of hitting the submarine? Not necessarily, because the whole thing with the cavitation is that you can actually use that to your advantage, and that's what these supercavitation systems mean. They are creating air bubbles around the object that moves through the water, such that the object actually moves through the air rather than through the water itself, and only touches the water where the control surfaces come into play to change its direction. The Soviets have done this in the 1970s, and that's the we actually see that here. That's the BA-111 Squall. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it means, I think it means a squall, so strong gust of wind. And that thing is definitely going very, very fast. The Germans are currently in the process of building one, and we're talking about speeds of several hundred kilometers here per hour, because these things are effectively rockets. They have rocket engines. But because they have an air bubble around them, more or less, or a system of air bubbles, they can move through the water at amazing speeds. Now, the Americans, I've seen some rumors that they have developed something sort of, but it never got over a prototype stage, and I couldn't find anything concrete on this. But so the HUWS, whatever that means or stands for, is definitely not something I think that exists, but this is probably an invention just to give the Americans one of these things as well. But the principle is the same. No, so what has changed in the game? Previously, the difference between that and the regular homing torpedoes was that they were not homing and were very, very fast. Now they are homing and are still very, very fast, but the range has been greatly reduced. In return, they actually get bursts. So so in one slot for a torpedo, you can either get one Mark 50 homing torpedo, which is slow, homing, and has a long range, or you can get 3 per salvo of these things, which are homing, have a 3-round burst, but actually have a very, very short range. It's a short-range weapon, but as it is short, but in short range is very, very devastating. And the similar principle goes for the Soviet one. So let's have a look at a spreadsheet and see what difference that makes. So the very first thing that stands out is that the American Mark 50 torpedoes have a lower alpha damage than the supercavitating torpedoes, because you get 3 times 6,000 base damage for 18 versus the 12,000 on the Mark 50. On the Russian side, it's more even. So you get 2 of the squalls versus 16,000 base damage on the homing torpedoes. But if we're looking at this purely from the DPS, the supercavitating torpedoes are definitely up ahead, and also from the total amount of damage that they can dish out, because you have to calculate how many how many torpedoes do you have in reserve, and how much damage overall can you do with this weapon system. The obvious difference now being the range, because the range for the supercavitating torpedoes is very, very short. So if we're looking at one other change in the game that has been made recently, that is on the JS Kurama, the Japanese Tier 2 destroyer, gunboat destroyer, which was a good ship in my opinion before they changed this, but now they've given her a twin torpedo set. So you can either have 2 Mark 50 torpedoes, or you can have a salvo of 6 supercavitating torpedoes. Now, if you are you're actually upgrading that, that means the range then gets up to just over 3 kilometers, which is still not very long. So you still need to get uncomfortably close to stuff. But you now get kind of 2 choices on how you set up this ship. You can either set it up as a long-range gunboat, and then you would use the homing torpedoes, or you set her up as a brawler, in which case you would use the supercavitating torpedoes. So let's have a look what that looks like in practice, shall we? In the first battle, we are out on... which one was that? I can't remember the map. We'll see in a second where we are. Oh, here we are. Okay, the big volcano in the middle. And we've got a carrier on the enemy team. So I am probably going to do some scouting, maybe with a helicopter. Let's see. But I do want to get myself... No, I don't want to shoot. I do want to get myself into our position next to that island there, such that I can get some cover. But in the meantime, I might be doing some heli scouting. Oh, no, never mind. There is... oh, it's an Ecranoplan. What are you doing over here? That was not a wise move, my friend. Yeah, you're screwed. You might want to shoot your rockets, but yeah, that thing isn't gonna survive for very long. We do have some planes coming in, but I have no idea what this guy's doing. He's just suiciding into that. But you see the torpedoes splashing out on the side. It's dead. You do see the torpedoes splashing down in the side, which also means that you have somewhat of a necessity to stay away from islands. Now I am getting under rocket fire by that Panteleiev over there and whatever that is, and a very cute animation that when you're hitting a rocket it stops dead in its tracks and then falls down into the water. I'm pretty sure that's not how physics works. But so for example, if I was going to shoot the Panteleiev, I can't even shoot him yet because I'm not close enough yet, but I'm trying to get close enough to the Panteleiev also such that I get clear of that island on the other side, because while we have while the enemy team has lost that suicidal Ecranoplan, the friendly team has also lost one. We've also lost one of ours, and now I am close. So almost there we go. And see if I can still get the torpedoes away before he goes behind the island. But yeah, you see my right torpedoes are... Oh no, they just made it past. Let's see if they can catch him. Of course, the homing... No, they haven't caught. The homing is, especially on supercavitating torpedoes, very difficult because well, they are so fast, so they can't turn that well. So you do actually need to make sure that you get them on target, preferably if the target is standing still and not doing it. There you go. So rocket, boom! It died, and then it just stops and falls to the water. Yeah, so preferably the target isn't rapidly moving. Now, my left torpedoes are going to hit the island, but my right torpedoes are going to get through, and I'm full health, and he isn't, and I've got guns. And I'm going to take one torp hit from him, but that thing is down. And yeah, don't let that bar, that health bar, confuse you, because you'd actually, I was actually down to half health only, but like my health looked like it was down to 1/4. So next up, that Chinese thing over there. And we're still 3 on 3, so this is still anybody's game. But once again, he is in my brawling range, and my main weapon beside. Oh crap, Jedi, hello. Yeah, I did not expect you to come to be around here. So full reverse, and I need to defend myself against that torpedo. You can defend yourself against these torpedoes as well, by the way, pretty well, because they are reasonably close. They are reasonably close to each other, so your launchers are usually going to be able to take out the whole group if necessary. So they are doing a very, very reasonable amount of damage, as this Chennai is finding out the hard way here. You really don't want to fight me at this range. I can guarantee you that. You do not want to fight me at this range. Because now you're dead and I'm not. And there's still a torpedo, so we need to kill that. And that leaves... okay, back to you. Before we were so rudely interrupted. So, yeah, you still don't want to give broadside like that, especially to a gunboat. Yeah, it's these torpedoes are having a hard time if you are reasonably quick and maneuverable, but I think that was just not quite enough on his side. And we've done a whopping half 500,000 points of damage. So let's do that again. And once again, we're on Greenlands in the second battle. And we'll see what we're up against. Same setup with the supercavitating torpedoes. Carrier in both teams, so I'm not sure if I'm going to go scouting, maybe not. Because if you run into enemy fighter planes, then your helicopter is dead, which means that you don't... Well, there are no submarines here, so it's not a huge issue. But I don't think the Kurama has sonar on board, because I don't see the blue lines. So without the helicopter, she's gonna have a lot of trouble actually spotting submarines. But I think we don't need the helicopter because hello, oh hello. Okay, let's put her into neutral and start lighting these guys up. I mean, you should have known that there was someone here, right? What were you thinking? And once again, I am bow in, but it looks like the Panteleiev is coming very aggressively. So I'm switching my fire, get the torpedoes out, and see that we can do some damage against this guy. And just reversing. I've seen the torpedoes coming in from the left, but yeah, I don't have time for this right now. I'll take that one on the nose, and my AA can take care of the missile drops, and that Panteleiev is already dead. So that's taken out, and the Chennai is sunk as well, which means we're 4 against 3. I know where the carrier is. It's that big plot back there. So once again, we're going to have to get ourselves into position. Now the problem obviously is if you're playing on open maps like Storm, and well, you can only use your guns at long range because the Kurama doesn't have any missiles and doesn't have any long range torpedoes. So it is somewhat situational and dependent on you being able to get yourself into a position where you can actually make use of this. So right now I'm gonna go and chase that carrier because it looks like I've got one destroyer with me. So if we combine our AA, we should be able to rush the carrier pretty easily. Okay, there's one of the other destroyers. I don't know where the third one is. They still have definitely another destroyer somewhere, but we'll deal with that as needed. If you see me firing my guns, that's just when I'm switching weapon systems, and somehow the game is super sensitive these days. Okay, the carrier should be right behind this island. We should see him any second now. Where is he? Come on, come out there. I know you're there. There you are. Hello, Mr. Nimitz. And oh, okay. One of the destroyers is he is actually doing close escort. Okay, But yeah, now I'm in torpedo range of the Nimitz, and since I've just cleared the island, my next salvo is going to be all torpedoes out. I'm going to take that one on the nose just to keep the fire up, but okay, that's about enough damage as I want to take. And the Nimitz is already dead, so the Chennai is just now a problem for the two. Suddenly he's in a 2v1 fight, and I don't think he's going to have a lot of fun. Of course, he's shooting at me, and I think some of my torpedoes are going to hit the dead Nimitz there. But I can definitely defend a single torpedo launcher, and the missile launchers that this thing can put out are not going to be a problem either. So that leaves the one destroyer over there, which is still fighting it out with our destroyer. So these two haven't quite decided yet who's going to win. But yeah, is this a universally more powerful setup than the homing torpedoes? No, absolutely not. And it really depends on your playstyle. So if you like getting stuck in, and you know how to use concealment, and you know how to get into fights that you can win. At close range, these torpedoes are absolutely devastating. If you prefer to stay behind and not take point and not be missile spammed and just play escort, guard, and long range gunnery, then you'd be much better off using the homing torpedoes, because the American homing torpedoes are very, very good and have a very long range. So yeah, that's pretty much what it boils down to. It's not universally better. It just really depends on your play style and your personal preference in terms of what you want to do. But yeah, well, right now we've won this. It's 3-on-1. We'll just have to get that thing sunk. Of course, from here I can't even use the torpedoes, but we've still done a very, very respectable amount of damage with the whole thing, and even outdone the two Panteleyevs on our team. So that's what this is about. I'm not currently playing Tier 3 because of USS Ohio, until I have the money to get myself one, because she just dreadnoughted the hell out of all the other submarines. And yeah, we'll see how that turns out balance-wise. But that's it for today. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.